Drunk at Disorderlies 39. Drunk at Disorderlies 39. Drunk at Disorderlies 39. Drunk at Disorderlies 39. 39. 39. 39. 39. 39. 39. Drunk at Disorderlies. All right.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode. How's it going?
We are back. It's going fucking great.
So another week.
Yep. We got the
great.
We got the club beats in the background.
Yeah, we got the club beats here in the background at 18:30. Bam, bam, bam.
Boppity boop.
Yeah, Bar 1830. Shout out for Bar 1830. They're good. They're
Yes.
good to us.
We are here
We try to be
every
good at them
Monday late night after the comedy show, and then we transition into the live podcast show.
So this is our long weekend May 2-4 show.
This is
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This is also a special day. This is going to be weird when I explain it, but today, like the real day that we're recording this, not necessarily the day that you're listening to this, because I assume you're going to be listening to it like in a week or maybe two from now.
Or just
but
all the
today is the day that the full episodes actually launch. So we're doing an episode on our own launch
Official.
day.
This is like our birthday.
Boom.
Yep.
It's a real thing. Check it out everywhere you listen to podcasts or most places. For
Happy
sure.
launch day to us.
Yeah, for sure. It's on Spotify. Where is it? Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I think Apple Podcasts. I think Podbean, Stitcher. Lots of mini clips on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us at 39DD Show.
Everyone will love it. It's
We've got-
fantastic.
yeah.
I even like it. And I don't like watching myself on camera. So
Yeah,
It's good.
yeah. I watched it and I fell asleep, and that's good.
Wow,
'cause-
thanks, Trev.
because I watched all the content.
You
I
watch
watched.
podcasts and go to sleep.
I fall asleep to all the stuff I watch. So it was in my parameters of stuff that I could fall asleep to. So that's good.
Right. So this is a holiday weekend.
that's like a backhanded compliment to oneself if I've ever heard one, honestly, right there.
But ladies and gentlemen, for as far as
We're so
announcements
good,
go,
you can fall asleep to us.
as
No,
far
that's
as-
important. A
as
lot of
far
people
as-
listen to podcasts.
We're,
as they
we're,
fall
we're
asleep.
comfortable. You'll want us in your bedroom. I mean, there's a lot of connotations.
No,
you
we
can
are.
take.
We're
I like
kind
it.
of
I like
we
it.
got that bedroom feel. As far as announcements go,
Drive in your car, listen to our podcast, and just fall asleep. And oh, these guys are great.
Don't fall asleep if you're driving.
You know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
you, up till now, you've learned a lot about Bob, and we hoped that over time you'd learn about Lars and I as well. But you need to know that you are now listening to one of the stars of the silver screen. Lars Classington appears
yeah.
alongside Mark Strong and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
And
I'm officially a Hollywood movie man now.
What?
Yeah, my
yeah,
first
you go down
speaking
to the
role.
to the real cinema and you watch a film called Stockholm,
There you go.
and you will see this motherfucker. So all y'all be aware, we're coming after you.
Now, I'll let you know I'm not the lead. I've done a lot of TV stuff, but this is actually my first technical Hollywood feature speaking role. And I have the, oddly enough, I was left out of the poster, so I got to figure that out. But because clearly reporter number one belongs on the poster, right?
They ask all the big questions.
I was
Clearly.
getting to the bottom of it. They're
Yeah.
they're planning a spin-off.
That's a good way of describing it. He was getting to the bottom of it, or starting there.
Yeah, I said things like, under hostages, have they been harmed? I said things like that. And, under hostages, can you confirm their identities? Who is in the bank? Yeah,
And
We've had the Lars one-man show version right here.
this is super fun. It's actually a really fun movie.
Who needs
Stars-
Hollywood stars anymore?
Ethan Hawke's great. So, yeah, thank you for the shout-out.
man, yes, we have to laud our victories here because that's what it's all about. It's because we talk about the highs and the lows.
That's right.
So-
That's how you survive this shit. So it's good to know that everyone's doing a little bit better than we were last week or the day before.
I feel like we're fucking killing it.
Well, I mean,
We launched our own podcast. Come on, how much better
on,
can
on
you be doing?
podcast day, right? I myself am going out to the wonderful West Coast Canada on Wednesday to be at Chapman's Ice Cream spokesperson once again.
Not just a Chapman's ice cream spokesperson. He's like Mr. Chapman's right here.
Mr. Ice Cream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've accidentally fallen into the niche of stoner ice cream guy. So.
You've got stoner ice cream guys covered with all your Chapman's ad, and I've got stoner pizza lovers with my Little Caesars ads.
I
You
saw it
saw
on
it?
twice. And I was like, there it is. And it's
Yeah.
actually funnier the more you watch it.
Yeah, because it's me. You know it's
Well,
me.
no, but even like your delivery, I'm like, because like you may watch it and then second guess yourself, but I'm like, I wouldn't change a thing.
Right.
It's good.
Well, good thing, because I can't. I can't change it now. It's out there.
Yeah, they call that carving in time.
It's a stuffed crust Little Caesars ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you playing like the little guy with the spear?
What?
Isn't that?
Oh, Caesar et tu, Brute.
I guess he's not playing the little guy with the spear then.
Right.
So
Sorry, it just flew over my head. Sometimes your references and things like that are too smart for
So
me.
tonight you need an outlet. It's just down at the bottom of that silver pole there. So tonight our audience, usually we're working with a turnaround camera. We're gonna try it, but I don't think we're gonna try it tonight. We didn't want to intimidate our audience. We couldn't get all of the waivers signed for the signing off their look-alikeness. So we do have the microphone though, right? We got the mic for the audience.
So I found out something.
Sure, just can't hear them right now. They're really
We're not
quiet.
going to talk about that. I found out this weekend. I heard a radio DJ talk about. They did a survey. I don't know how they actually broke it down, but they did a survey to determine the drunkest countries in the world. And
yeah, I've heard these surveys before.
What would you guess that Canada came in a global ranking?
I'd say like 18.
4th, 6th.
Third.
What?
Yeah, we
That doesn't
came
surprise me.
third. Give it up to Canada. Now,
You fucking drunken disorderlies out there. That's you.
I didn't read the actual like criteria or how they were measuring or what the questions people were asked, but we were third behind. Guess what? 2 countries.
What's that one near Russia? Like No, it's like Moldova or something.
No, not Germany, not Moldova. No,
Ireland for sure.
no. I would have thought Ireland.
Mexico?
Not Mexico. Nope.
Are we just gonna name every country?
Yeah, we're
in
gonna
the
keep
world?
naming countries. If you're listening to this right now, phone in right now.
Yeah, I need phone a friend.
Phone in right now. You want me to tell you?
Australia.
No.
Alaska.
You want to know? UK and then United States, and then we were third. Yeah, apparently. So the measure that they use, I don't know what they define drunk, but the number that they the number that they said we this is official radio survey shit right
See,
here.
I think it's a standard issue, right? That's all it is. The standard issue. Like, for example, what he was actually saying, that they've never been to Eastern Russia or like Eastern Europe because, there are a lot of places there where like the police are drunker than the tourists. You know what I mean? So
Right.
if you're like really outrageous and you think, wow, I'm so super drunk, you walk in anywhere and the baker's like, what the fuck do you want in here? Why are you in store? It's like,
And like,
it's
it's like they're drunk, but they're not like obliterated. Like they
or
can
if they
handle-
are, no one cares.
or they can just handle
Like,
it more.
Gustav is asleep in street again. You know what I mean? Like, it's like no one talks like that. Yeah, big deal.
And he's the mayor.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And his secretary's just walking by. She's like, fuck, I'm going to get pissed. Fuck this.
So guess how many days a year Canadians report to be drunk? That was the measure.
days a year.
Days a year.
How many days a year are
So
Canadians
that
drunk?
averages out to
296. So you're saying 6 out of 7 days Canadians are drunk. Okay.
no. Well, okay,
What would you call drunk? Maybe 6
beers.
beers, 8 beers? I don't know. What's drunk?
Now we have to do the.
That's
the
all relative
analogy.
again. We had the discussion about that already.
So we
Not
don't know what
really,
the number
though.
was, but
The number's irrelevant, but it's people reported being drunk.
reported
So
47
it doesn't
days
matter
a
if you're
year.
one of those guys drinks 10 beers, one of those guys drinks 200 beers. If you reported being drunk, let's say, I would say you average probably 3 or 4 times a week.
But what is drunk?
47 is what? Is that your average? 3 to 4 times per week drunk?
No, that's what I would say people's average would be.
But what is drunk though, right? Because there's drinking.
Again, when
I
we were
grew up with
reported
drinks.
being drunk, they said themselves they were drunk.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So
when I
having a
was
couple,
drunk
sometimes.
sometimes.
Drinks is not the same. Like you go out and have a
Like,
couple
I would-
beers.
You get home, you're like, I wasn't drunk. Someone's like, dude, you fucking.
If you did
sit
stupid
down.
shit, you were drunk.
Okay, I was drunk last night. I know that for sure. I know that.
Yeah.
Hands back on, you're drunk.
Yeah.
If you don't remember, you were drunk. So the number was
Or you had like a stroke. And either way, I don't know what happened last night. Am I still slurring my words? Am I drunk? No.
it was
It was brain trauma.
It was 47. That's the number that Canadians report. 47 days a year,
year. What, so
Which is like
all
once
the
a
math
week.
people once a week?
basically.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone
Pretty
like has
standard.
their Friday or Saturday night rip. Unless you're like us and you don't do 9 to 5 and you're ripping on a Tuesday, and then you see everybody ripping on a Friday and you're like, oh,
I played
wanna-
Dungeons and
I wanna
Dragons
play
Tuesday
too.
night, ladies and gentlemen.
Tuesday night.
Do you
Yeah,
get
no,
drunk?
I usually rip on a
Sometimes.
Wednesday.
Usually not, but sometimes. Pardon?
I usually go like Wednesday's a good go out day. Cause
Yeah,
it's,
I
like,
throw axes on Wednesdays, or I do
This is
most of
good.
the time. Yeah.
Do you get drunk when you throw axes?
I don't get drunk, but I have a few beers.
Fuck yeah.
Have
It's
you
not one
ever-
of those places I go and just get like ridiculously hosed.
Have
yeah,
you ever gotten hit ridiculously?
really hosed throwing axes? Yeah, we went to this one of these. They had a special function. It was like me and the ex-wife went to this. It was like the I can't remember what they call it. It was like the prom or some special event. So we went and had dinner and drank, and then threw a bunch of these weird events, right? And yeah, I was drinking all afternoon, barbecuing into the evening, and then had to throw a bunch of events. And I was pretty liquored up throwing axes, and the guy was like, the judge, the coach standing by was like, yeah, right over there. And I'm like, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Maybe you shouldn't have an axe right now, sir.
It's like,
And he's just like,
yeah, I was close to that. Yeah. Yeah, I was close to that. The ex-wife was like, you were pretty enthusiastic. And I was like, yeah, I was pretty enthusiastic. All right, sure thing.
Full of life.
you,
Liquor.
before we started rolling.
But I didn't throw that bad. So, it's okay. The guys on my team were like, it's okay. He's hitting the target and he hasn't hit anyone else. It's pretty good. And I'm like, yeah.
Right.
Performance enhancement.
Before we started rolling tonight, you said something. One of our audience members is in a cast today, and you remarked that, and then stated that you have broken every knuckle in both hands.
Yeah, every finger, every knuckle in both hands.
I wonder how he did that. Huh.
It's actually by punching stupid shit. People don't break your knuckles as easily.
Yeah.
But like punching walls or like
Walls
being
and-
being angry and trying not to hit someone has done more damage to me than all the times I actually hit people.
Wow. Preach? Did you say preach? Yeah. Huh, that's amazing. Yeah, you're probably right.
I have one of
Yeah.
my fingers that's
You
broken
should-
because of that.
Usually, if you don't hurt other people, you're gonna end up hurting yourself.
Karim, our videographer and editor from Cifer Pics here. Show that finger. Do you want to show it on camera? Switch around here. Switch around to the wide and just like put it in here. Find it. Let's see. Old crooked finger Karim. There it is. Get it in there. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's genuine. That's genuine. That's how you break your hands.
Is that
So-
Is that how you broke yours? You knocked. You punched the wall instead of punching somebody.
That's probably, if you're just only listening to this right now, that was probably a little weird segment where you had to listen to seeing Karim's finger. But if you are listening, I'm going to reward you
Well,
by...
2/3 of the way down the first metadactyl, it's bent. And it's bent at like a 11-degree angle, so it doesn't sit normally. So now if you couldn't see it yourself, you can now look it up and you can see pictures of it, I'm sure.
But give them the sound of your knuckles, Bob. This
Okay.
is amazing. Get ready.
Both hands.
Keep doing
And
it.
again, just because they're all busted up.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's gross, guys. Yeah.
Sure.
All broken fingers, eh? Wow. I can do this. Okay. All right. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we
So-
are.
The crack affair.
So yeah, I mean, I was away for the week. Small town living, just keeping it cool.
You were hitting the cottage?
No, I was at my girlfriend's place. She lives in
Bob
in
Cajun.
Kincardine.
King Carden.
Bob Cajun, yeah. That's right, Bob Cajun. That's everybody lives in Bob Cajun. It's not Toronto, it's just Bob Cajun.
Yeah, I went out to Toronto. Bob Cajun.
That's right. There is nowhere else. It's like a bubble, and the rest of the universe is Bob Cajun, right? Like,
Kincardin's, it's beautiful. They still
Yeah.
have like Quakers and Mennonites, people that drive around
I hear
and,
they have King Cardens there too.
and horse and buggy. What?
You're right. You're right.
I know I'm right.
Yeah.
Did you see any? Did you see any horses and buggies?
I have actually taken the bus up there because they occasionally ride the bus to and from Toronto. It's kind of strange. No, it's really strange.
the rules.
It's, yeah, but like I'm in Toronto, I'm looking at there's a woman standing there, and she's dressed like 100 years ago, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting, and I'm like, whatever. I didn't think anything about it. And we're on the bus together for a while.
Damn actors.
Then it stops just at. Well, I was thinking, I didn't,
This is a time traveler. not
yeah,
a
it's just
Mennonite.
whatever, no big deal. And we get somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, and I look in front of the bus, and there's this wagon and horse like sitting next to the road, and she gets off the bus, and I was like, fucking A, Mennonites, right, that's a thing.
I think it's like they're allowed to be in a vehicle on like a Friday as long as they're wearing black or something, or they got these weird kind of like modernized rules.
Well, I don't think the bus counts. They can't, own a bus, but I think they can ride on one.
Right. And it's probably for something necessary. Like they're probably being forced to like go there and renew a thing or like get a passport or something.
Go to a
like this.
doctor.
Right, or go to a doctor.
A girl I work with, she's listening. Hello, Allison Penner. She's
You think she's listening?
She'd be great if you were, because that would make her.
She better be. Allison, if you're not listening to this right now, fuck
She
you.
was saying that she was a Mennonite, and she's moved to the city now. She's like, she grew up that way, and now she's like,
Like an ex-Mennonite?
essentially. So like she's
Because they're usually not pretty fond of you if you like leave.
Yeah, well, I think she like. has
If you leave, you go back, like, pull up in your new car and be like, hey, guys, I'm really sorry I left. Like, things are a bit different for me now. They're like,
You're like a bird that's been touched.
Check
by a
out my
human.
iPad.
Yeah.
It has all of the world's information on it.
that's when you check out your one-way ticket to Satan, back from over the fence, and you're not allowed in anymore.
That would be
Like,
kind of fun though, getting a crash course on society. Like you're 12 and you just get like everything
that
handed
would be
to
fun.
Legit be like time traveling to the future, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden you have like access to all of the future. I think this is a good movie.
That would be shitty.
Instead of X-Men.
That would be shitty.
So it's
I
called
don't think you thought that through.
Instead of X-Men, it's X-Mennonites.
X. Right.
And their superpower is to be able to do things without electricity.
Like churn butter.
Yeah, what's your superpower? The butter churner.
Barn
Yeah.
raising. Yeah, that's right.
This is great. We're on to something.
I'm
Trevor's
literally-
taking notes. This is
literally
also a
right.
production meeting, by the way.
The only thing I've written down for the whole show.
X-Mennonites churning butter. Okay. Should we get into the
I've never
crazy
churned any
fucked up
butter.
show
I've
here?
never churned any butter.
Should we buckle up?
Well,
Do we have any general topics to discuss leading in?
let's see. Oh, shout out to CBC Gem Show the 9th.
Oh yeah, the 9th. It's fucking hilarious.
some Canadian
our,
content
Our
that you
buddies
can be
just
proud
released.
of.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like The Office or Community or Parks and Rec, but around a baseball slow pitch team. It's great.
Every episode
Nice.
they
It's gonna
start with
blow
the
up.
last out of the bottom of the 9th, and then something will happen on that play that would then be the theme of the episode. So it's called like The Catch, and then it's about like them all trying to hook up with each other or something during the episode. And in that
Right.
in that thing they make a big catch.
Baseball metaphors.
Metaphors. And they have a great discussion on what first, second, and third base is. And there's like 5 or 6 people who weigh in. Like, no. It's like above the shirt, but like below the pants. It's like, no. Like it's only if like whatever. Like, it's good. It's relevant. It's funny. It's witty.
Nice.
Way to go, CBC. We want to be on your podcast series. Anyway,
Nice. Way to be subtle about the pitch.
if you're listening, we love you.
For sure. No, they're great. And our buddy Benjamin Blaze
Ben
was
does
hilarious
great
in it. The whole cast and crew
Yeah.
was fucking great.
Kudos.
Yeah.
Well, basically, we're on a long weekend, so I don't know if you have anything themed over that.
No.
Nope.
Moving on.
I'm gonna flip through my notes and make it look like I'm doing
Well,
something.
Tell us a
hello.
fucking story.
Give
All
me
right.
some fucking volume there. Thanks,
All right.
Karim.
I will tell you a story then. So today's theme I'm going to dedicate to cooking sherry with an ad lib to Friday night, because Friday night is a good night for fight night, and cooking sherry is the lube that makes fight night slippery. So one of the things about being a broke punk rocker in this town is that what you drink becomes less predicated on taste than cheapness. So, the tall cans of Fax, when Fax was still like
man.
when Fax was still like 9%. Yeah. I don't know anyone else who bought that shit by the case. We used to buy cases of Fax 10, and the stuff it I don't know. It tastes like someone took a shit in a can and then just blended it up and decided,
Was it
just
that
chuck back
orange
down.
label?
It's Danish.
It's no, the Fax 10 was black.
Now I see
black.
why you don't
Yeah,
give a
Fax is orange, but Fax 10 was a black label. They still sell it,
okay.
but now it's a lot more expensive. It used to be like $1.50 a can. If you bought a case, it was even cheaper.
Tastes like if you mix beer with motor oil. That's
Yeah.
that's a
cheaper. You
good-
wanted to get
Yeah.
cheap beer cheaper.
but it gets you
ruthless.
fucked up fast.
Exactly. When you want to get cheap beer
Does
cheaper.
the 10 refer to 10% or what is
Yes.
Oh god.
So it's basically malt liquor. It's awful malt liquor.
Have you experienced?
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right, so you start Friday night off by getting a case of Fax 10 and a couple of bottles of cooking sherry. Because the bottles are like cooking sherry, again, it's like $8. It's 14%. I mean,
It's like cheap wine, but strong wine.
it's really cheap, strong wine. And it's really cheap because you can buy like a 26er for like,
Are there like varying degrees of this?
not really.
Like,
It's just
are
like,
you like, oh, am I getting this one today or that one? Like, no, it doesn't
no,
matter.
not really. It didn't matter. It's cooking sherry, right? It's not meant to be drank straight. It's meant to be used as like a cooking reagent.
So what did you cook?
Ourselves.
Our brains.
Yeah. So you drink as many of these Fax 10s as you can, slug back all these bottles of cooking sherry, and then go to the local slop holes downtown for $10 pitchers. Because that was the ticket Friday night. We could all like bum enough change together, and from our shitty jobs, whatever, we usually had like between us like $60 in cash.
Nice.
So after you spend like $30 in the afternoon on beer and like cheap liquor, you still got $30 just 3 fucking pitchers, and that's an evening watching like a shitty punk show and having a good night. You know what I mean? So we'd all like trudge onto the streetcar and fucking roll downtown, already way too lit, and not in a good way. Because cooking sherry and 10% malt liquor beer is a sloppy drunk.
It's not a refined. Yeah.
No, the cooking sherry is very sweet, and malt liquor is inherently just going to make you a drunken asshole. That's just the nature of it. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know if anyone understands why the 40 is so prominently represented in like violent music of all kinds. The reason for that is that drinking 40s, which is malt liquor, is basically like becoming an asshole one sip at a time. Like, that's just the way it goes.
That should
Right.
be the name of it. And
Yeah.
let's start a malt beer company that's just called Drunken Asshole.
That's right.
You guys want a case of Drunken Asshole?
Here, sip
What's
it
his-
back.
what's his
pitcher's a
problem?
drunken asshole.
Guaranteed to work.
What the fuck is that guy's problem? Oh, he's been drinking Drunken Asshole.
I think
Right?
he might just be a drunken asshole fan. Oh, I drink that shit too.
I think that would legit sell. Sophie, what do you? Yeah, what? Come on. If you saw a guy drinking Drunken Asshole, you'd know to avoid him at a party, right?
It's
'Cause
true.
He's a fucking drunken
It
asshole.
would be good.
Yeah, the table with 3
So-
pictures of drunken asshole on it is not the table you go and hang out with. You're like, yeah,
Identify
where to
those
sit.
people. Yeah.
yeah, no. So this story is kind of a vignette about malt liquor and cooking sherry. Are you eating your hair over there?
I'm listening to your story. I want to hear it.
Trevor's having an interesting day today.
Yeah.
He's almost as interesting as the story being told here. It's
Bob
really
took
interesting.
one look at me and he knew.
Yeah, I knew. I had to chuckle. I was like, oh yeah, he's calling this one in from Fairyland tonight.
Yeah. Sorry, fans.
No, that's all right.
Congrats on being cast as the new Batman as well. Thank you. Shout out Robert Pattinson here.
Thank you.
You are a vampire, right? Okay, sorry, continue.
All right, so now that we've established who's a vampire and who's not, I guess I'll carry on. So we used to drink at this place called the Q Bar. It was at Bathurst and Queen. It's long closed. It turned into a place called Coda, and then it turned into some other stuff. It's this weird little spot on the corner.
What was it
But
called?
It was called the Q Bar at the time.
Q Bar.
And it was owned by this adorable little Asian couple, and they basically used to sell really cheap liquor to really drunk assholes all the time. Like, that was their life. And I really honestly pity the fact that was the clientele they got. But they had a little stage in the back, and the stage was one of these stages where literally the bathroom, you had to climb up onto the stage and walk across the stage to go to the bathroom. So if you're playing a show, there's sort of a constant stream of people walking through your set, like to the washrooms.
Yeah, it's
You know
a
what I
perfect
mean?
setup.
Yeah, it was just fantastic, right? But I remember one night we were watching the show, and I was in a particularly drunken asshole kind of mood, and the band that was playing, I just thought they were terrible. The guy really sucked. His voice was shitty, and he was just not very good. And we were all playing in bands at the same time too, so we thought we knew something about that. You know, I mean, we're like music critics of the punk scene, which is kind of an oxymoron when you think about it. Like a bunch of guys who don't really have a whole lot of professional musical talent, like judging each other on musical talent, like really violently and harshly. So anyway, this guy was on stage, and I walked up to the front of the stage. It was literally just like, a little bit of a rise. So I was, as tall as he is, up on stage, and I'm like, you suck. And he's like, fuck you. I just grabbed the microphone and just took it from the fucking mic stand and just walked away with it. I was like, yeah, I suck. Fuck you. Show's over. And just went and sat down with the mic. And that precipitated a pretty large brawl Because apparently a lot of people there were actually there because they liked this dude and his friend. And I had friends, which turned into like something. I didn't think he had friends. I'm like, you suck. Like everything's you're terrible. You can't possibly have friends. You're bad at punk rock. Like.
Did you think the crowd was gonna be with you? Like everyone's like,
I didn't-
yeah, he's right. That guy's right. Fuck this guy.
I think I just kind of wrote them off entirely. I was like, man, it's just a crowd of people. Fuck them. And like my buddies knew right away. There's like 6, 7 of my friends sitting in the front. They're like, yep, Bob just started the first fight of Friday night. Like that's how that one goes. And I'm walking back with the microphone in my shirt pocket. And sure enough, bottle goes flying past my head from behind. I was like, oh yeah. It's on like Donkey Kong.
It's on.
I turned around and just started swinging at anyone that's moving. It's like, yep. I just started waded into the crowd. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, it's fight night. Woo!
Go berserker.
Yeah.
Like battle royale, right?
Yeah, with the microphone in my pocket, so all you're being amplified through the speakers. And you can hear this,
That's great.
and at the top of her lungs, you hear this little Asian woman screaming, no fighting! No fighting! No fighting! And the thing is, she used to scream that every time we fought. And then we'd walk in, the very first thing she'd say to us, not, hey, how's it going? It's no fighting. Like, we'd walk in, she'd be like, no fighting. And it became more of a plea.
fighting.
Until eventually it really was. Yeah, it really was like, no fighting.
No fighting.
No fighting.
Why you fight?
Because every fucking time we're in this place, every time. So, I mean, it was massive brawl. People got thrown outside. We fought in the street for like 20 minutes. The cops show up. Of course, because Queen and Bathurst. And so the cruiser rolls up, and the cruiser's like, what's going on? And all these fucking drunken kids are standing around. Everyone's bloody. And everyone's like, nothing. Because the stone wall, right? You think that's going to actually work, that the cops are going to be like, oh, of course, nothing must have happened, right? You know what I mean? Everyone's like, seriously, like teeth missing, people laying on the sidewalk, leaning on each other, all like, punched up and fucking wasted. Some guy's puking on the side of the building. It's like, what happened here? I'm like, I don't know. So I just got here, and it's like you're covered in some other guy's blood. And you're like,
You have a beer bottle coming out of your face. That's part of my outfit. Just part of my outfit.
Yeah. It's my
I'm a hipster.
It's my traveling gear. It's my monocle.
So how did they break those debauchers fallouts down? Like
They didn't. They'd be like, everyone fuck off, go home. Like, just leave. And then the lady'd be like, do you pay your tab? Pay your tab. We'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, the cops said we have to go. Like, we'll hit you next time. And we did, actually. It was one of the few places we actually paid our tab because we went there every weekend.
right. So you go back.
So we'd walk in and she'd be like, no money, no beer. And I'd be like, no fighting. And she'd be like, no beer. And I'd be like, money. And she'd be like, beer. And then pour us. It was a great relationship.
Wow, just money, fighting, and beer, and they just all
Yep.
follow
That was
each
the
other.
three brands of communication. No fighting, no money, no beer, no fighting. And then another night, same bar, same Friday night situation. I was sitting at the table, very similar to these actually. They weren't marble top, but they were like this ugly faux formica, but looked like faux stone, with plywood on them. And some dude came over our table and spilled a pitcher of beer on my lap, sort of on purpose because he was angry at me for I don't know what. Who knows? It could have been any number of things. That's the problem. I'm not saying it wasn't necessarily justified. I might have been a total asshole to this guy at some point. I have no idea, to be honest with you. It could have been that guy. No, I don't think so. But anyway, he spilled the pitcher of beer on me. He was like, yeah. So now, he's like, now what, giant guy? I've heard you're pretty tough. And I was like,
Who are these people?
and my friends are sitting on either side. They're sort of looking at this guy like, you have absolutely no idea what you're getting into here. He's like laughing. He thinks this is funny. You're going to get killed. And I'm like, this is great. So I stood up and I got about halfway up and I just reached up and grabbed the back of his head. And instead of standing all the way up, I just sat right back down and pulled his head down with me as hard as I could, right under the corner of the table like this. And I broke the corner off the square table with his head, just bang! And all you hear is, no fighting! No fighting! And the guys on the floor going, and I'm like, he needs to get a pitcher of beer. And she's like, no fighting. I'm like, he's not fighting. He's not fighting. Just put it on his tab and bring it to the table. I'll make sure he comes around and pays for it. It's all good. And his friends are standing there going, like jaws dropped. And I'm like, so does anyone else want to spill beer on me and get into a fight tonight? Because, hey, it's Friday and it's still early. And they're like, no. She's like, no fighting. And the beer arrives and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And she's like, on his tab? I'm like, on his tab. And she looks at the guy, looks at me, looks at the broken table, looks at the guy, and goes, fine, and takes off. Sure enough, she put it on his tab. Like she was like, yep, a beer for you. You got knocked out on the floor, and you're paying for the drinks.
Cooking sherry.
That was a fantastic place. They never cleaned the beer lines, and you could tell because you could not drink more than a pitcher and a half straight, no matter what. Like, even if you were stone sober, and like normally you could chug back 2 or 3 pitchers, if you got to the pitcher and a half mark straight in that beer, you would throw up due to like fungus content. Guaranteed. Like the line, it was terrible. It had this like tangy flavor to it, almost like heavy metals. Like you knew these like old beer lines that just never got serviced. But I know this because you try periodically to chug the last of the pitcher before you left at the end of the night, and it didn't matter who you were. If you chugged 2 or 3 pints of that right back quick, you were outside throwing up no matter what you were doing. So we drink that beer all night long, but you couldn't drink it in a certain way. Like you couldn't just like guzzle it back. You simply couldn't do it.
Yeah, you gotta sip on it all night. Just
I
that
bet
slow
I
sip.
could do it.
You know what's funny? I actually think these punk rock squats, these weird little bars like this, are disappearing from the
I was gonna ask you where are they at now?
from the social makeup. I don't know particularly where they are, and I think that's because the culture's changed so much.
I mean,
that,
the hideout's still kind of like that, right?
well, I guess it is and it isn't. I mean, it's. I remember the hideout when it was on Queen Street, and it was a lot
What's
smaller.
on Dundas now?
It's on College at Spadina.
Yeah, then I remember it maybe on Queen as well. Then.
Remember on Queen near Palmerston,
Yeah, okay.
and it was like it was much smaller. It was very different.
And it was a bit more of a den.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to actually play shows there way
yeah,
back
yeah,
in the day.
Yeah. Okay,
So, I mean, like-
I remember that spot.
Yeah. So it's very different. Very, very different. Now, I mean, now it's like a nightclub. When you go in there, it's like a nightclub. It's one huge open room with like the bar strip along one side, a couple tables in the back. You know what I mean? It really is. It's not the same at all.
There's that spot in Kensington Market. My buddy, yeah.
Well, Kensington Market's a holdover. I can't remember all the names of them. There are a number of little spots in there that are still kind of, and always will be somewhat punky, but I think it's because that's basically like the last epicenter
Yeah.
of that, cultural epoch that exists in Toronto. Like, it's not really prevalent anymore. Whereas when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, it was pretty popular still. I mean, I was also due mostly in part to like 3 different venues. I mean, you have to recognize that the Big Bop, the Cathedral, those were the same building right there at Queen, the Reverb, right there at Queen and Bathurst.
Reverb.
That whole big purple monstrosity on the corner there.
Right.
They booked more $5 punk nights than pretty much anywhere else in the city, and that was a huge, huge contributing factor to there being a downtown Queen West punk scene. And then a bunch of the little shitty bars like Michael's and Q Bar and Drink Coffee Barbecue. It's another one of these places like the English translation of whatever it's like, name is supposed to be is just like Drink Coffee Barbecue. And it's
Super fun time.
And you walk in and there's no coffee or barbecue, but there's definitely cheap beer and a pool table. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so whatever. But all those little bars where beer was cheap became little punk havens, right? You'd find, Skid Row punks in there traveling in the summer, basically camping up their giant knapsacks, like in front of these little bars, waiting for them to open, stuff like that.
Do they serve cold tea? Was I with you when I got introduced to the whole cold tea thing? You know what that is?
Oh yeah, cold tea was a fucking phenomenon.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere in Chinatown or in Little Chinatown, it's over by Broadview, and late night go to a Chinese food restaurant and order cold tea, and they look at you and be like, "Oh no, you want like tea?" And you're like, "No, I want like Budweiser in a fucking tea kettle," and they'd be like, "Okay, yes," and they come back a few minutes.
Wink.
Come back a few minutes later with a couple of tea kettles with beer foam coming out the nozzles, and you're like, yes. Well, because think about it. How do you pour a fucking tea kettle of beer? You ever tried that shit? I never have. I guarantee you the nozzle thing is gonna, I'm trying to get an even head on your pint is one thing. Imagine getting an even head in your tea kettle. So.
And then you just see people like, fuck, those people really fucking love tea.
They
at
like
4
tea.
a.m.
They've had like 6 pots of tea at 5 in the morning. That's
You keep
amazing.
buying pots of tea.
It was pretty novel, actually. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun. Just
I
like
loved
serving.
it.
I actually have a teapot at home. I should just do that next time.
Just serve
Pour
beer
my
out of
beer.
your teapot.
Yeah,
It feels classy. It felt
Right.
great to me.
Very unusual. And the
Yeah,
fact
that was
it
definitely a Toronto phenom for sure. I remember that was one of the first places we actually drank after hours. Was definitely that because you'd be out all night and you'd be partying and you'd be like, "Oh, let's get fucking Chinese food." And somebody would be like, "We should go to cold tea." And the first time you heard that, you're like, "Why?
That's exactly what I did. I was like,
Why the
cold
fuck?
tea?
Why the fuck should I go get cold tea?
Yeah,
It's like 5 in the
like,
morning.
that sounds like the worst.
It sounds terrible." And they're like, "No, come with me. I'll show you." And the Chinese place you go to is one of those ones like it's just slightly run down.
Just
I mean,
a
like it's
little.
still good. It's clean. It's obviously like
Pretty
decent,
bright,
but
yeah.
it's still, paper signs and the whole deal. It comes up. Oh yeah, cold tea, please. And it's such a cheesy thing too when you think about it. But it was such a stressful moment. Like, oh yeah, I gotta order this cold tea now. I wonder what she's gonna say.
Yeah.
Like, no.
We don't want your business.
But you have to agree to pretend that it's hot. Like, so you're like, ooh, how you got to pretend that it's tea. Like, ooh.
You can't just like.
No, actually, I've never had that experience.
Ooh, I
Like
burned my
once
tongue.
once the entendre of going through the dance was over, like once you're like, no, I just want fucking Budweiser in a teacup. Like the pretense was gone. Like the teapots would just keep coming, and you'd just be sitting there like shooting back tea, and like
Yeah.
the couple sitting next to you is like, oh, eating their dim sum, looking at you, just like, it's like pour another teacup and just go right back down the
ripping
hole
it.
again,
The one that you took me to, they would like you. There was almost like a rule. Like, I don't even know if it was spoken, but it was like you have to drink it fast because just in case like somebody came in, they don't want us to be like you can't be caught with a thing full of beer. But then we would just keep ordering more and more. So you're like, like they'd walk by and be like, oh, you got to finish up, drink up, drink up, drink
They
up.
would
and then-
they would come and,
Yeah.
and pour it out in your glass if your glass wasn't full.
right. So there's like no evidence.
Oh yeah, and like we went
That's
through
excellent.
3 kettles real
It
quick.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very smart.
That's
Yeah.
excellent.
Good for them. Is that just a Toronto thing? Do we know? Do we know?
I
like,
do not know, but that's definitely a
Vancouver,
question for the
parts
internet. So people should.
States. Never heard of Washington D.C. native. Never
Yeah.
heard of it.
Also, it'd have to be a place that had like a little Chinatown. I would think for that to be a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
so
you're not
maybe
just gonna
like
go
San
and- yeah.
Francisco or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but you're not just gonna like go into
point.
Mandarin
Good
and be like, hey, you get some cold tea? Like,
yeah. Don't
sir, the bar's over there, and it's 9 a.m. You're a fucking degenerate, okay? Like,
Don't try it at the mall food court Manchu walk.
yeah, exactly. Hey, buddy, you got any cold tea? And he's like, what? Yeah, I got Nest tea. I got no, seriously, like, come on. Wink,
I'm 14 years old, sir.
Yeah, I didn't get that in my training brochure.
Yeah,
I need an adult.
kid from The Simpsons. But that's why it's so funny because it's like we have to be like sneaky to drink late. It's like it's bizarre when other cities people are going to a bar and ordering legally.
Right, it's like
know.
partial prohibition. Like you can only do.
We have kind of bizarre and strange, almost draconian alcohol laws.
Well, and I think because like
Now, hang on though. As a side note to that, I don't believe that our last call should be later. I know that sounds really weird, but I don't. And one of the reasons I believe that is I think that yes, Canada might be a really drunk country, but we have a really immature drinking culture.
Yeah.
It really is the go to the bar, get fucking hosed from like 7 o'clock to like 2 o'clock, which get fucked, woo! And then these people are just a mess. And if you give them till 4, it's not like they go out any later and be like, oh, maybe I should have some restraint and go for 11 and then have a good drink. No, they go out at 7 again. They get fucked till 2. They're like, oh, still 2 hours. You fucked even more. Woo! And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, you have even worse drunken assholes staggering around.
But don't you think they'd learn from that and
No.
eventually they would normalize?
At
No?
one point in time, I thought so, maybe.
Or that they burn out.
But I've changed my mind over the years. I've changed my mind on that premise. I used to think that that drinking culture would improve in that fashion, but it won't. Something else has to change first. It's actually more important. It's drinking in public spaces.
Do you want
That
me-
has to change first. When people have a better respect for being drunk around other people, then the last call issue, you can open those. It's okay. I'm watching you
I
like
was
just
like, do you
desperately
want-
pull at them,
do you want
whatever. It's
help?
fine. You'll be
like,
fine.
I don't know if she can do it.
Our audience member is trying to open a snack or chips, and she's
got
having
this-
difficulty.
she
Is
got
it
this-
Crispers? What is it?
She's got this new
It's cat treats.
cast.
It's cat treats.
Now that this is a part of the episode, you have to give us a few of whatever it is.
Yeah, everyone has to whip out their knives.
You're listening to us open with a knife some snacks.
Both our sound techs just whipped out knives way too casually and quickly. So just so you know.
What do we got here?
You do.
What do we got? Gummy bears. Wow.
Oh,
They're
that
not
was
special
expensive.
gummies, are they?
I hope not, 'cause there's a lot
Imagine.
of fun.
All
At the end
right.
of this episode, me and Lars will be asleep in the back corner holding on each other's
So,
So you think, are you
no,
gonna pick up on
Yeah.
that, or are you gonna go somewhere
I
else?
was going to go somewhere else, but what were you going to say?
Well, I was saying, you think that we should be allowed to be walking around having drinks and it's all dandy?
I think we should adjust slowly to that. I think it's actually a good idea. Let people drink in parks. Same place to let them smoke, like by barbecue pits or at any park benches, that kind of thing. Has 2 major effects. One, It helps to decriminalize homeless people who are doing it anyway,
Interesting.
and that's useful. Spares police resources and shit for things that actually matter.
Yeah. I agree.
And two, if people become culturally acceptable with seeing alcohol around and having alcohol present in their sort of daily routine, then the shock value and the being publicly intoxicated value disappears. Like we're talking about Eastern Europe, like, oh,
Right.
Slavics asleep in the road again, You get used to the concept that people are drunk. But
Or just drinking.
But yes, but that not everybody is a drunk.
Right.
And that's the point.
Yeah, when I toured through Europe, I saw it through countless nations, not just like one culture, like over and over. People like out just, yeah. Just and the city wasn't burning. It's not like nobody went to work in the morning. Like
No, and that's what I mean when I say the maturity of a drinking culture. A lot of places in Europe, they have 900 years of drinking culture, right? This country's barely like what 200 years old.
250.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we just did the 150.
that's right.
Yeah, I heard the Vikings were the first to invent beer pong. Way back in the day.
Yeah, only you're throwing severed heads into buckets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right? That was Viking beer.
Olaf, finish the pint. Oh, I'll throw the head.
Throwing them from one ship to the other across the water.
Flaming. Yeah, on fire. Flaming heads. On that note, I think we probably got to wrap her up. Shut her down.
Yeah, we'll just our last segment,
Final.
which we always like to open it up to the audience. Oh, our good man would like to know if we would like a beer. You want at least one, right?
I would love a pair of Dos Equis. Dos Equis, please.
Thanks, Jason from 1830. Shout out to Jay,
Jason.
doing a great job tonight.
100%.
Yeah.
He's chimed up that he would like to tell some of his drunken disorderly
Really?
stories. Yes.
Nice.
So
Let's get him
someday
on.
we'll get him on.
Absolutely.
Anyone in the audience have anything they would like to pose to myself, Lars, or Bob?
Specifically, Bob questions are
They're
our
Bob
favorite.
questions, but
I actually have a
we
question that I'll
haven't-
pose to you. It's sort of a return of force on that one. But I was talking to my brother about this the other day, about how, when I tell these stories about Friday night was fight night, we get into countless fucking fights on Friday night just going out looking for them. Now that I'm like 37 years old, I haven't been in a fist fight in a really long time. Like I can't remember exactly how long. I mean, I've done some grappling and thrown people out of bars and stuff like that, but that's not the same. I haven't like gone out and like gotten bloody and gotten into a fucking knockdown fist fight. And I think it is literally just because I am older. I'm older. One, I feel my wounds now. I never did back then.
Yeah.
And two, I don't have the personality of the sort of street fighting drunk that I guess I used to be. No, I'm not drinking malt liquor and cooking sherry
Yeah,
either.
you gotta drink more drunken asshole.
Yeah.
I'm drinking asshole. Selling product like it's a mix of malt liquor and cooking sherry.
Ooh.
It smells like an asshole.
It would. Drunken asshole. That'd be pretty. Actually, that might actually sell. That's a product.
And it's like a butt, like the label's like a butt, and then like what? Like
Little liquor bottle sticking in it.
yeah. Exactly. We did it, guys. We did it. Congrats to the launch. This is launch day.
feeling good about launch.
So
day.
what was the question? You had a
Question was, does anyone else feel that as they got older, their aggressive or at least their narcotic tendencies were curbed somewhat? Just sort of almost by natural impulse. Like not necessarily even trying, just
Yeah, because you're like, this sucks. It's like I hate being sore, and like nobody wants to get punched or be like, really, you don't. No one goes out. I mean, most people don't go out thinking, I want to get in a fucking fight.
That's right.
Like,
I think
really-
my fuse has gotten longer, so I was more quick. Because like for me to do that would be something illogical, especially for me since I don't pose that much of a physical presence threat. So if I were to do something fighting wise, it'd be because I didn't think about it, and it was probably stupid. And now I just have a longer fuse where I don't snap.
yeah.
I'm a Chapman's guy. I look for animals that talk to me that aren't there.
You can't snap, especially in public. If somebody gets it on Instagram, you'll lose all that ice cream money.
Well, fuck, the tobacco guy's still working, so jeez.
Is he though?
I see it. I see it.
Right.
What the fuck did the Trivago guy do?
He got a DWI or DUI, drunk
Ooh,
driving.
he got his own little drunken disorderly.
Yeah. We should get him on the
We
show.
should get him on. Yo, reach out, mister.
Yeah.
The guy that looks like Malcolm. Yo, you should actually, give it to Malcolm because Malcolm doesn't get D&Ds. Travago, give it to Malcolm. Travago, give it to Malcolm.
All right. So what was the question? Are you sure these aren't medicinal gummies? We got to say goodbye. Hit us up at 39DD Show on Instagram, on Facebook, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also going to have a new segment where you can actually call in, leave a message. You can leave a question, shout outs and stuff. That's going to be available soon. So stay tuned for that.
Try not to get too philosophical with me here, okay? Because, come on, like, you know, we are drunk idiots here, right? Like, we're not exactly PhDs in anything, so
Parting words? Were those them?
I guess that was that. Try not to get too fucking philosophical. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye.
So, done.